Hi, dear classmates and teacher. My name is Genesis, and I'm here today to talk about cultural dimensions, cross-culture, and miscommunication. Okay, so let's start with the first topic. Cultural dimensions. Cultural dimensions are basically those representative elements of culture that can be behavior, values, beliefs, etc. Okay, that can be different depending on the country, the native language, the nationality, and the social groups. We have 5 cultural dimensions, the ones that you're watching your screen right now. Okay, we're going to explain all of them. So the first one is individualism versus collectivism. It refers to society's behavior and integration in social groups, which will determine how they face situations and also the way in which they interact with others, okay? For example, in individualism, people care about themselves and their family, okay? I care about me and my beloved ones. No one else matters to me. However, in collectivism, people see other people as a community, okay? So they care about each other. I care about you and you care about me. They take care of each other, okay? In the second cultural dimension, power distance, this dimension defines the different kind of leaders in every culture, and it allows to study how those leaderships are carried out in different social groups. For example, in high levels, the community follows the leader's orders, and they cannot show disagreement to those orders because they have to be respectful to the leader. And they are also very dependent of the leader. However, in low levels, firstly, there is not like a specific hierarchy because the leader sometimes has like helpers from the same community, okay? And also in low levels, the community is allowed to show disagreement to the orders from the leader, okay? Then we have masculinity versus femininity. In this dimension, we basically analyze like the expectations that society has about women and about men. For example, in a feminine society, women are expected to be caring and do things for others. And they are also expected to solve conflicts by negotiating, and they are expected to be modest, calm, peaceful, a literally lady, okay? However, in a masculine society, men are supposed to be competitive, to be assertive. They are also expected to follow some values or some objectives such as money, competitions, etc. Okay, they are also expected to have higher salaries than their partners because they are the ones who are supposed to financially sustain their family. Okay, and they are also expected to solve conflicts through violence. And then we have uncertainty avoidance in a high, in a low level, okay? So this dimension focus on how social groups deal with anxiety and humanity search for the truth, okay? So in the first case, we have people make their lives predictable by following a routine, okay? They tend to postpone crucial decisions and they like to be controlled because in that way they don't have to face the consequence of their decisions. And they tend to be more emotional too. However, in low levels, they are not afraid to be like involved in ambiguous situations. Ambiguous situations means that you don't know which is going to be the outcome of the situation, okay? They tend to be interested in discussing polemic topics like politics, and they prefer to take risk, okay? Then we have long versus short-term orientation. So this culture dimension refers to the disposition that a culture may have to delay or to try to achieve certain objectives. They can be material, social, or emotional, okay? For example, in long-term orientation, we focus on the future, okay? People are willing to risk everything they have and to delay everything they have to delay in order to be prepared to the future. And in short-term orientation, they are focused on the present and or in the past, okay? Hence, people care about immediate rewards, okay? Why? Because they are not worried about the future. And then we have intercultural competence. What is intercultural competence? Okay, intercultural competence refers to the speaker's ability to adapt themselves to communicate assertively with people from other cultures, okay? Which which involves not only to focus on the linguistic aspects of the language, but also in the empathetic part of the speaker, okay? Which means that they need to be understanding, they need to be respectful, and they need to have like cultural awareness to recognize that what they think that is appropriate in their culture may be disrespectful for someone from another culture, okay? So the importance of intercultural competence is that it helps us to be more understanding, to have cultural awareness, to be more empathetic, and to be more respectful, okay? And it also helps us to be more conscious about not only about the linguistics aspects of the language, but also about the cultural elements of the language, which can cause a cross-cultural miscommunication, okay? Okay, so now let's check the difference in high and low context cultures, okay? So in high context cultures, people respect each other's turns in conversation. They tend to be more formal, okay? But they are not as straightforward. They don't say things directly and explicitly, okay? They are expecting you to understand the meaning behind their words by analyzing the context, the nonverbal cues, and the intonation when they speak, okay? And also, they cannot disagree. They try to not disagree with someone because disagreeing with someone is seen as something disrespectful. However, in low context cultures, you are expected to say things directly and explicit, okay? There is no need to wait until someone has finished talking to talk if you want, and conflicts are not avoided, and they don't need to be solved immediately, okay? So now, miscommunication during cross-cultural encounters. Cross-cultural miscommunication takes place when people from different cultures have a conversation, okay? And the original message is misunderstood due to an incorrect interpretation of the message based on some particulars of the language, okay? It can be the body language, the maybe gestures, maybe non-verbal communication, different aspects of language, okay? So some aspects that can influence cross-cultural miscommunication are, firstly, an incorrect interpretation of gestures, or especially in greetings, for example, okay? We have handshakes, for example. But in Latin American countries, specifically in Ecuador, it's normal to greet people with a kiss, even when you don't know them, okay? So, but in some countries like Asia or Afghanistan, that is not appropriate because you don't know them. So you cannot greet them with a kiss. You have to greet them with a handshake or with a bow, depending on the age of the other person, okay? And the other, the other possible aspect can be body language, okay? Some behaviors, some mannerisms, or some gestures that you do. For example, in Asia and in Afghanistan, personal space is really important, okay? So maybe if you're having a conversation with someone and they think that maybe you're being too close, too touchy, they will start to act weird, you know, and you may think as the speaker that it's because maybe you make a mistake in your proficiency skills with the language. Maybe you mispronounce something and that's why they are acting like that. But intercultural competence helps you to analyze these cultural aspects, you know, because if you start a conversation with someone and you greet them with a kiss and they think that you're being like too disrespectful, too touchy, they're going to act weird, not because of your abilities with the language, but because of the way in which you act, you know? So when you develop the intercultural competence, you are aware of these kind of aspects, and that helps you to be more conscious about your behavior. Okay, so cultural dimensions, cross-cultural communication, and intercultural competence play a crucial role in effective communication because they allow us to adapt our behavior, our gestures, and our body language, and all the other elements of language to show respect to the person that comes from another culture, okay? Because through cultural dimensions, we can understand the different aspects of the culture that can influence natives' behavior. And by using cross-cultural communication effectively, we can teach students how to communicate, not only using the linguistic aspects of language, but also the cultural elements of it by being aware of that. And intercultural competence helps you to be more careful with your behavior and the way you behave with others, okay? So cultural dimensions are important because they let us know another aspects of language that we tend to ignore. In this case, culture, okay? So we have to understand that people not only communicate verbally, but also in a non-verbally way, okay? So it helps us to understand that some societies have certain mindsets, you remember before, like individualism, collectivism, okay, that can make them behave or talk in certain way. So in the case of intercultural competence, it is important to develop this ability, because in that way we are going to behave better, okay? Because let's remember that when we learn a language, we learn it to be able to communicate with others. And respecting the culture of another person is also respecting your language, the language of that other person, okay? So that's why learners must develop cultural awareness in order to be more respectful and in order to communicate better with others, okay? So these are the references that I use. Thank you so much.